We need e-democracy now. Let's redesign our environment online now that we have the technology to do so. Let's start by redesigning the government. Let's begin by redesigning California Online by adding e-initiative, referendum, and recall to its existing system. This would help, I think, greatly to resolve its otherwise intractable problems. Our representative government system was designed almost 250 years ago and is now basically outmoded. We now have the technology to represent ourselves directly online, and we certainly should. When we adopt e-democracy, our satisfaction should improve greatly, and with it the quality of life. We should start with the initiative, referendum, and recall.
Hello, I'm John Sir, retired architect and sometime urban designer and teacher. I've been working on e-democracy since 1970. The public is now so dissatisfied with the performance and cost of government that reform may finally be possible. I certainly hope so, and I hope you will agree.
So here are our current problems, which really are not being solved. Great Recession and so on, you know what they are. Who would vote for any of these if they were given the opportunity? Here are some long-term problem trends. Probably the foremost of these would be population growth. Forecast for year 2050 is for a population to be 9 billion people. It seems pretty clear that representative government is not adequate to cope with that. You may have your own list. You may want to pause to look at this in more detail. The solution then is to link everybody together online and then redesign society for the optimum quality of life. You can do that by adopting the initiative, referendum, and recall, then move on to redesign the government online for e-democracy. We can fully inform all people there. We can monitor the quality of life continuously. We can act to maintain it at the optimum level always. We can solve our pressing problems and create peace, prosperity, and sustainability. Our redesign goal is to optimize the value of the design, which is approximately equal to the ratio of benefits over costs. And when that's optimized, then that would lead to the optimum quality of life. In this case, benefits would be defined by the people online themselves, and costs also to some extent. The design process illustrated here can be speeded up and improved online, particularly with use of animated graphics, models, and simulations. The IR&R process is similar. It should be available to any citizen, online or off, not just the moneyed special interests who can afford to pay signature gatherers now. That's the major stumbling block to its current use. Also, it would enable voting whenever citizens were ready rather than at regular election times, speeding up response to problems. Pause if you want to examine this in more detail. Among the benefits we could expect people to agree upon with EIR&R are an end to the recession promptly, preventing future panics with full information online, creating full employment and ending underemployment, focusing on peace and ending war, creating an e-prosperity, increasing tax revenues and paying down the deficit, fully informing all people online and making them self-reliant and self-responsible, reducing government and expanding freedoms and creativity, and many others. Some background. Democracy goes back to Greek times, of course. This idea of John Locke at the time of the American Revolution can now be carried out online. So that idea led to the American Declaration of Independence, of which Thomas Jefferson was a primary author. If you read through it, it sounds remarkably appropriate to today. Here's a quotation from the beginning of the Declaration. You may want to pause on it and pay a particular attention to the second paragraph there. Jefferson was also an architect. This is his design for the University of Virginia. This idea of Jefferson's can now be carried out online. People can be well and fully informed, and they can be entrusted with their own government. Buckminster Fuller has been a major influence with his design science revolution. He proposed the computerized world game to optimize the design of the entire world. This included a competition versus cooperation game in which cooperation always produced the highest total score. That's important today when we're thinking about optimizing the aggregate quality of life. In the 1930s, he proposed to vote by phone. In the 1960s or 70s, he proposed continuous electronic referendum. He was probably best known for his design of the geodesic dome. In 1992, Ross Perot ran for the presidency on the Reform Party ticket and proposed electronic town halls then. He didn't win, and he has not pursued the idea since, unfortunately. Today, there is some interest in e-government and in e-democracy, especially in the EU and the UK. Here in the US, there is Senator Gravel's National Initiative effort. This was primarily to be by conventional ballot, but it has added an online capability lately. The current administration tried the Open Government Initiative. There were many good ideas submitted online, but they were unable to collate them into a meaningful form. What's needed is E, I, R, and R to do that. So, people are frustrated with government dysfunction today, while at the same time doing ever more online. They need to become aware that they can now represent themselves directly online to solve their own problems. To promote this idea, let's form a group, raise funds to advertise online and off, overcome natural resistance to change by developing an everyone benefits solution, gradually assemble a voting plurality, adopt E, I, R, and R in California and in other states already having conventional I, R, and R, and electing representatives, congressmen, and senators who favor the idea and will enact it nationally and in the states without it. California is a good place to start, as it already has I, R, and R and a long tradition of using it. When done, we can then apply e-democracy, solve our problems, and maintain the optimum quality of life thereafter. I hope that you will agree and will join this e-democracy now group.